redecorate. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody's on the ball. Good. So we've been looking at perseverance, and we'll continue with perseverance, enthusiasm, all these different ways of saying the same thing, joyous effort, energy. Some teachers use the word exertion. They're all conveying the sense of energy and dynamism, zest in engaging in what is wholesome. Yeah. So thank you for being energetic enough to join us this morning. राकेश जी, आपके समझ में आ रहा है ज़्यादातर या नहीं? आप अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा अपने आप को.
आ रहा है जी समझ में, तो ऐसी कोई बात नहीं. हाँ जी.
Thank you. So let's adopt a posture that's comfortable and conducive to good flow of energy in the body and a sense of being uplifted in the mind. So upright, front of the body open. Head tilted maybe slightly downwards, shoulders level. And as we sit here very calmly and quietly, we can remember how in this floating world, there are countless, the vast majority of the 8 billion humans are not very tranquil, are having all kinds of mental and physical problems, whether they're rich or poor, famous or not famous. Some of the most famous people in the world now are very dejected. Some of the most famous footballers, for example, are very dejected and unhappy since their teams lost. But incredibly rich and well-known people, they're unhappy. Those who don't have food and drink properly, they are unhappy. And the vast majority of people who don't seem to really have sense of purpose, positive purpose in life, they are also kind of lost. And they can often be the most sad to behold. Enough of everything, but life seems to lack any real meaning. But also for those for whom life's meaning is to just try and get the next meal or, small amount of money, that is also very sad. So this is samsara, a bottomless pit of sadness, dukkha. Really like the bucket in the well that Chandrakirti speaks of, being bruised and battered by the experiences in samsara. And according to Lord Maitreya, not one moment of pure happiness in samsara, not one moment. Samsara is by definition unsatisfactory, dukh. So think how wonderful it would be if these beings could all be well and happy. If they could uncover the jewel-like nature which is up to now hidden within all of us, which bestows the lasting peace, the bliss of awakening. And how wonderful if oneself could help enable others to achieve this. So according to our capacity, may we do whatever we can to be of benefit to suffering beings, even if for now it's just on the aspirational level, wishing to do so, wishing in a very genuine, heartfelt manner to be able to do so. And one way to do so is to constantly remember the Dharma and to get together like us to reflect, listen, practice together, especially with such a amazing text as the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, which is a supreme text by a holy being, Shantideva. So to accomplish this, we need to stabilize the mind, make it a good instrument for undertaking the task of investigating who we really are, investigating reality in a powerful manner. This is absolutely necessary if we have the wish to benefit ourselves and others properly. So we'll engage in the basic practice, breath awareness practice. So here we have a gentle awareness, not too tight, but not too loose. And we can usefully use the out breath as a natural way of creating a sense of spaciousness and relaxation, so that together with the sense of being alert and awake, we have this sense of spaciousness and ease, and even you could say a sense of relief each time we breathe out. So we'll sit together for 10 minutes. If you're a beginner, then by all means take a break after 4 or 5 minutes and then start again. That may be wise if you're very, very much a beginner. Otherwise, 10 minutes. Okay. Being aware of breath at the nostrils or at the abdomen. And of course, if you are a seasoned meditator, then you may choose to do any other practice that is calming and stabilizing, or the open awareness practice. If you know what that is, please do that. Whatever is useful. But for a beginner, the breath is recommended. Okay. Uh, so, welcome to people who joined since we started. So we're looking at chapter 7 of Shantideva's text, and we have reached verse 35. Shantideva has been both sort of cajoling as well as scolding us for wasting our life, for wasting our human opportunity, for getting bogged down in lack of self-esteem and so forth, reminding us that everybody has Buddha nature, that even mosquitoes and insects, scorpions can attain enlightenment over time with effort. So how come us who have this precious human body are not making effort? You know, he's saying with just a fraction of the effort we've been making so far in samsara with samsaric activities, a fraction of that we'll be able to attain enlightenment. You know, he's saying, you know, he's even saying that if we were to understand how much we are wasting this life and how we are creating the causes for misery, if we really understood it, we would have a heart attack. We would feel very, very, very upset. So he's exhorting us to make great effort. He says, we have not taken the trouble to develop acquaintance with these excellent qualities, excellent states of mind. In verse 36, he says this, verse 36 of chapter 7. And you'll find that. And he's saying, and this is quite amazing that this is the case. How strange, how amazing that I'm rendering this wholesome rebirth meaningless through my solely mundane activities. Yeah, how it's indeed amazing that I render meaningless this life that somehow I have gained. Of course, somehow has to be interpreted. In Bachelors, it says by some coincidence. Of course, it's not total coincidence. Nothing happens without the requisite commensurate causes and conditions. And as you know, this precious human life doesn't come about just like that, right? We know that from our previous investigation of the precious human life, which is one of the basic meditations, you remember? One of the 4 basic meditations that help turn our mind towards the Dharma, precious human life, death and impermanence, actions and their consequences, and the shortcomings of samsara, suffering of samsara. These 4, we've looked at these. So you may remember that the causes for such an amazing birth that we have now, where we're able to meet with and investigate, practice the teachings, the causes are mainly having some kind of positive, moral, ethical conduct in the past, strong ethical conduct, moral conduct, not harming others. Also the spirit of generosity, said to be very important. We are generous with our time, with our kindness, with our material objects, with our advice, with all of these things. We have been generous in the past. Plus, the third major quality, it is said, we have made very strong aspirational prayers based on our understanding of how important it is to have this kind of life, this kind of rebirth. Therefore, we have made very strong prayers to actually have this, to receive this. So those 3 things, the kind of ethics, generosity, and stainless prayer and aspiration. These are the some of the major factors for us to have this birth mentioned in verse 36. So it's not a coincidence, but he's kind of, there's a way of speaking. So both translations are okay, I think, although I don't know the original Tibetan. Somehow I have gained. Matlab kisi tarah se mil gaya ye. It's like, mil gaya kisi tarah se. No, we have put a lot of effort into it in the past. It's certainly not a mere coincidence. Okay. Then in the next verse, he's trying to, Shantideva is showing us, it reminds me of a passage in the Bible, which I can't recall right now, but it reminds me of that, this next verse. I have not made offerings to the Lord Buddhas. I have not given the pleasure of great festivals. I have not performed actions for the teachings. I have not fulfilled the wishes of the poor. And he continues in the next verse, I have not granted fearlessness to the frightened, and I have not given happiness to the weak. All I have given rise to is the agonies in the mother's womb and to suffering. Wow. That is very powerful. Yeah, very powerful. Pema Chodron sees it as a touch of humor when he mentions the agonies in the mother's womb and to suffering. And that also could be taken that way, but I don't take it quite that way. In her commentary, she says that he honestly acknowledges that he has spent far too much time thinking only of himself, okay? But rather than turn this into depression and self-loathing, he cracks a joke. Looks like my only accomplishment in this life was my mother's birth pangs and her womb's discomfort. So that is one way to read it, but I, even though I'm a bit of a joker myself, I don't read it that way. I don't see it so much as a joke, really. I think it can make us feel very, very sad, and it's a very powerful statement. कि हाँ ये इस तरह का जन्म मिल गया, मैंने क्या किया, कुछ लाभ नहीं पहुंचाया किसी को, कोई ज्यादा फायदेमंद की चीज किया नहीं, खाली मैंने अपने माँ को दुख दिया. अपने जब मैं पैदा हुआ तो माँ को दुख हुआ, वही मेरा एक उसी में सफल रहा मैं, और तो कुछ किया नहीं. So yeah, all I was able to do was create pain for my mother when I was born. I didn't do any of these other things. Didn't make offerings to the Buddhas, are very powerful objects of merit, right? Didn't perform. I didn't make offerings at the great monlams or great prayer festivals that are held in the, especially Tibetan tradition. But yeah, they must have been there in the Indian tradition. Obviously, if Shantideva is speaking of them. What's the other translation? No feasts. Feasts, festivals, yeah, whatever. Anyway, these are occasions, large occasions where one does have the opportunity of giving food and other things to vast numbers of people, especially perhaps the ordained Sangha. So I've not done that, I've been too lazy to do that. I have not engaged in actions that help spread the teachings, I have not sponsored teachings or helped teachers or, taken part in, helping one's teachers to spread the Dharma. I have not fulfilled the wishes of poor people, I've kind of neglected that. I've not been generous, in terms of helping those in need. There are lots of weak and frightened people in the world. I've not helped them. I've just, gone by and not really taken care of them. Yeah, I've not given happiness to the weak. Yeah. The wretched I have not consoled. Yeah. I've not saved the frightened from their fear. These are all things that that a mother does for her dear child. You know, when the child is afraid or feels wretched for some reason, hungry, tired, sick, afraid, a good mother takes care of the child, right? So we're supposed to do that for others, but we don't do it. We don't do that, Shantideva is saying. All we've done is give pain to our mother at birth, because as you know, birth is can be excruciatingly painful. And of course, many mothers die during giving birth, soon after. Like Buddha's mother, she also died soon after giving birth. Um, you know, so that's all we've done in our life. So in this and in previous lives, this deprivation, this lack has come about because of I've not aspired for the dharma. I've just not aspired for the dharma. My failure to aspire to dharma, now and in the past, has brought me to my present dereliction. Dereliction, that's a good word. Derelict, this kind of wasteland that I find myself in now. We talk of a derelict building, a building which hasn't been used or is falling down in a bad state of repair. So this has arisen because of my lack of aspiration for the dharma. So then, if knowing this, who in their right mind would ever reject aspiring for the dharma? Aspiring for dharma. He's not even saying practicing the dharma, saying at least aspire for it, to aspire to dharma. So many teachers mention this. That, we can't do much right now very often in all sorts of ways, but aspiration itself is very powerful. Sincere aspiration. Okay, here, yeah, next verse. I didn't know the next verse was this. Aspiration, so the sage asserted, is the root of every kind of virtue. Aspiration's root, in turn, is constant meditation on the fruits of action. The other translation is this: the Mighty One himself has said that aspiration is the root of every facet of virtue, and its root, aspiration's root itself, is constant acquaintance with the ripening effects of actions. Matlab, कर्म के नतीजा जो है, the effects of actions, if we really understand, that will keep us that will help us to keep on having good aspirations. Excuse me. So the fruit of killing is hellish. The fruit of stealing is Preta realm. The fruit, one of the main fruits of sexual misconduct, is animal rebirth. Fruit of, and you can imagine what is the fruit of lying and harsh speech and idle gossip and dividing others and so forth. We have to experience the results of these things again and again and again. Again and again, if we don't purify, because as you know, one of the effects of these actions is that we have the habit of engaging in them again and again. So then if we have a habit, that's terrible, right? We keep on doing things, even that we know are not good, not conducive to the path to liberation. We keep on doing them due to habit. So if we are aware of karma and how it works just a little bit, because to understand it deeply is impossible for us, the Buddha himself said that. It's a deeply hidden phenomenon, the deeper aspects of karma. But we can understand some of it, I think, and get some idea. So he's saying the root of aspiration itself is investigation of cause and effect, karma, actions and their results. How is this? He gives some summary in the next verse, few verses. physical pain, mental unhappiness, all the various kinds of fear, as well as separation from what is desired, all of these arise from an unwholesome way of life in the past, mainly, but now too, but mainly in the past. The body's pains, anxieties of mind, all my fears of various kinds, to be deprived of what I want, such is the harvest of my sinful deeds. Yeah, so if we want a sweet harvest, we plant, the seeds and the plants for the, the sugar cane that we saw earlier. One of our participants was joining us from a sugar cane field. He's gone now. So if we want that, we have to, engage in the requisite action. If we want a different kind of crop, if we want imli, tamarind or something else, we have to do something else. Chili, we have to plant chili crop, So all of these unwholesome things, these suffering situations arise from an unwholesome way of life. However, verse 42, by committing wholesome actions, which are motivated by aspiration in the mind, wherever I go, I shall be presented with tokens of the fruit of that merit. Yeah. 42. If my acts are good, sincerely intended, then no matter where I turn my steps, the merit gained will honor me with its resulting benefits. Yeah, I think this is clear. Doesn't require any major kind of commentary, except the usual commentary on karma, which can be also very extensive. We could look. There's extensive section in Lama Tsongkhapa's graduated path steps. The graded path to enlightenment, on the different karmic results of different positive actions, and how, if you want a specific kind of human birth with lots of good qualities, how to create the cause for that, how to create the cause to have a strong body, handsome or beautiful body, how to have, power of speech that others listen to, and so forth. All of these things have a cause, major causes, yeah, they don't just come about by chance, oh, my parents had good genes, or my mother and father, they were athletes or something, therefore I have a strong body. Maybe, but then why were we born to those parents, and so on and so forth. It all comes down to previous karma. Yeah. If in search of happiness my works are evil, then no matter where I turn my steps, the knives of misery will cut me down, the wage and retribution of a sinful life. Bachelor says, yet by committing negative actions, although I may wish for happiness, wherever I go, I shall be completely overcome by weapons of pain caused by my wrongful life. So, although I may wish for people, to honor me, to believe me, to respect my words in this life, and even though I may put a lot of effort into speaking clearly and with wholesome intention, yet if in the past I've created a lot of negative speech through lying, idle gossip, and so forth, then one of the results is, even in this life, people will not believe me, they will not listen to me. As soon as I start talking, people will interrupt, that kind of thing we can experience. And then we say, why is this happening? I'm speaking what I consider to be the truth. I have a good intention. Why are people not listening to me? Why are they listening to these other people who I don't think are speaking, so well-intentionedly, this is all due to previous positive or negative karma. You know, I may be surrounded by people who you know, I'm working with, or have to be in a connection with, you know, regarding work, and I may not get on with them. They may be disloyal. They may engage in backbiting. They may be, you know, planning my downfall or how to put me down somehow. What is that? Why is that? And I may be a decent, good person who wishes them no harm whatsoever. You know, why does that happen? Again, due to karma, previously accumulated action. Yeah. I may speak even lies and people may believe me. I may speak a lot of lies and yet people believe me. That is due to previous good karma. Of course, now I'm creating negative, but due to previous good karma, people believe me, even though I tell a lot of lies. This is also there. Good people can get arrested for doing nothing, and bad people who commit a lot of crimes can get away again and again and not go to jail. Again, the roots of these things have to be searched for in the past. One cannot understand them by looking at present activities. It just doesn't make sense, does it? We have a question here. Hold on, let me unmute you. Navinji, make a minute. Yes, Navinji, बताइए.
Kabirji, just a quick clarification about verse 43. The happiness which is mentioned here, is it ultimate or conventional? Is the happiness he's saying that even when we commit evils, even though we might seek dharmic happiness, is that the way to read, or conventional?
No, any kind of happiness. Happiness of all happiness, mundane, any happiness, mundane or sublime. Yeah.
Okay, even sublime. All okay. Thank you, sir.
Well, I mean, that's what it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, any kind of goodness or, you know, happiness or bliss depends on positive, some kind of positive potential.
Yes, Kabir. Yeah, I thought as much, but I needed to just check with you. Thank you.
And that's what I would think. So then Pema Chodron's commentary to these verses that we've just heard is, in short, virtuous actions have virtuous results, negative actions lead only to pain. Shantideva repeats this so frequently because it's not a teaching we catch on to all that quickly. If you're trapped in a hellish situation, the only way to get relief is to calm your anguished mind and reconsider self-absorbed solutions. When we cultivate an awakening heart, we experience a sympathetic world, no matter where we turn. This is Shantideva's recurring message. We'll notice this. If you're in a good mood, you're feeling uplifted for, you know, whatever reason, and you may not know the reason. Some mornings you may just wake up that way, or you know, begin to feel that way. Then wherever you go, the whole world is kind of okay. Have you had that experience, right? And you can somehow meet good experiences, and you meet people, and I mean, everything just seems to be a little bit more uplifted and the cause of happiness for you. Whereas on other days, it's like the opposite. It's like the opposite. I had this experience in 2020, especially early 2021. And of course, one knew about this intellectually from one's studies over all these years, but it was so powerful to wake up in the same place and to experience it in such a different way, you know, and it had nothing to do, well, it may have had something to do with COVID and lockdown, but the point is the source of it is in the mind. To be able to, because many of my friends have said COVID was a great time for them. They could really be very creative and do a lot of things, you know, during that period. So sometimes everything seems to be wrong. You can create hell out of heaven, almost, you could say. And in the same way, kind of create a heaven out of potential hell. It depends. It depends what is arising in the mind. And for us, uninstructed worldlings, we are not in control of what arises. We cannot handle what arises. There's the karmic vision, you could say. I mean, what we're experiencing now, for all of us, is a karmic vision. And it's kind of a pretty good one, I hope, for all of us right now. It's a karmic vision because we're humans. We see the world in a certain way. We're not in a war zone. We're not escaping missiles in Ukraine. We're not half-starved in South Sudan. We probably had some food today if we were hungry. And we're sitting relatively comfortably wherever we are. And we are, listening to something worthwhile. So that's our particular karmic vision right now, based on our abilities, our being human and so forth. It's not going to be the experience of a fly or mosquito that might be, sitting on your laptop or on your nose. So we have a particular karmic vision right now, which is wonderful. But even that may not last, Say, a brick falls on your head today, and you have kind of quite severe brain damage, then you will not have the same karmic vision tomorrow or, following that event. Or if you get terrible news, which depresses you greatly, then the vision tomorrow will be different karma ripening, So like that. The next verse, 44, as Pema Chodron says, describes birth in a pure land, which is the best case kind of scenario. Well, not actually the best case. Best case is, to be a Buddha. But anyway, it's very good if we were to be born in a pure land. And this is what happens through virtue. I will arise through virtue in the cool heart of a fragrant spreading lotus, its petals opened in the Buddha's light, with glory nourished by the sweet words of the conqueror, and live the Buddha's air within the presence of victorious ones. Wow. Yeah, this sounds good. The other translation says, as a result of virtue, I shall dwell in the spacious, fragrant, and cool heart of a lotus flower. My radiance will be nourished by the food of the conqueror's sweet speech. My glorious form will spring from a lotus unfolded by the mighty one's light. And as a bodhisattva, I shall abide in the presence of the conquerors, the Buddhas. Remember the conquerors, they have conquered their delusions and all of their faults. They have not conquered physical enemies, which, as Shantideva says in another chapter, conquering physical enemies is just like, conquering or killing a corpse. It's not much, there's no value in that. Now, as a direct, contrast to verse 44, we have 45. However, as a result of non-virtue, my skin will be ripped off by the henchmen of Yama. In this feeble state, liquid copper melted by tremendous heat will be poured into my body. Pierced by flaming swords and daggers, my flesh will be cut into 100 pieces, and I shall tumble upon the fiercely blazing iron ground. So Shantideva presents his case in this way. You may say this is an exaggeration, but yeah, come on, you only have to look at some of the gangster movies or, Godfather or The Sopranos to see what human beings do to each other in this life, in a human life, let alone an actual hell realm in the sense of what may arise after this human life is over. But even in this human life, hellish experiences are there. Flesh being ripped off, people being sawn up while still alive, all sorts of horrible things are done. You only have to look at some of the news carefully from Mexico and other places where all these gangster wars. And anyway, I'm sure dreadful things are happening in the Ukraine with these people fighting each other in the bitter cold. So we don't need to look far for hellish experience. You may have had some yourself, mental and physical. Maybe you had an accident and broke your leg in a very particularly bad way, and there was no help for some time, no anesthetic, nothing, and you're in dreadful pain. Maybe or maybe not going in and out of consciousness even due to the pain. So there are, imagine having, 80, 90% burns on your body due to having just survived burning. And then slowly it kills you. I mean, there are all kinds of scenarios, right? Even as a human. So why do we think it's not possible to experience some kind of other hellish mental state in which these things are happening, like a dreadful nightmare, a really dreadful nightmare, in which we are screaming and shouting, and out of which, of course, we wake up as a human, if we're still a human. But imagine the nightmare that can happen after we die. Then there's no waking up in a hurry in a human body. That, in any case, will take at least 9 months. If we were to be reborn as a human, it would take quite a while to, have that ability to experience the karmic vision of a human. So, therefore, very clear, I should aspire for virtue. Siddhi-Siddhata. And with great respect, acquaint myself with it. And having undertaken the wholesome in the manner of Vajradhvajya, I should then proceed to acquaint myself with self-confidence. So who is this Vajradhvajya? Mm-hmm. 28. The note there doesn't seem to, or does it, correspond with this. Anyway, for example, what is given in the note by Bachelor from the Avatamsaka Sutra, the great flower adornment sutra, for example, Devaputra, when the sun shines forth, it illuminates any suitable place without being turned back by such obstacles as blindness in people or uneven mountain formations. Likewise, when a bodhisattva shines forth for the sake of others, he ripens and liberates any suitable disciple and is not turned back by the various obstacles present in sentient beings. Okay, so then I should proceed to acquaint myself with self-confidence. And then he gives great advice for developing self-confidence, because that's not something that necessarily comes easily to all of us, does it? How are we doing for time? 12 o'clock. First of all, I should examine well what is to be done to see whether I can pursue it or cannot undertake it. If I'm unable, it is best to leave it. But once I've started, I must not withdraw. Let me first consider my resources. to start or not to start accordingly, for it's better not to start at all than to begin and then to retrace my steps. Because by acting in this way, the pattern will return in later lives, and wrongdoing and misery will increase. Also, other actions done at the time of its fruition will be weak and will not be accomplished. Other actions will be left undone, or else will bear a meager fruit. This is very, very, very important. Now, read Pema Chodron's commentary on these two verses. Steadfastness is based on our commitment. Without commitment to what we're doing, it's easy to get seduced by self-doubt. Therefore, he tells us, Shantideva tells us to consider ahead of time whether we can or cannot perform a task. Are we up to the task? Youthful bodhisattvas are easily seduced by the idea of helping others, and they are very eager to begin. But when the job seriously challenges us, we may draw back. And this is true in meditation practice as well. We set high goals, they can get bored or discouraged, and we give up. But it is better not to start at all than to change our mind halfway through. You know, whether we're inspired or in a slump, Shantideva's instruction is to stick with it. That's why we're encouraged to sit every day, sit in meditation every day. Being steadfast through emotional hurricanes as well as blue skies is an important aspect of our training. It sets up a pattern of self-compassion that is not swayed by outer circumstances or moods. Indecision, vacillation, should I, shouldn't I, all that, also sets up a very, very harmful pattern. Not following through on the things we start strengthens this painful habit. Eventually, we'll think of ourselves as ineffectual when, ironically, we ourselves have written the script. So, we mustn't get in this habit of starting and not finishing things. It will become a habit, life to life. That's very painful. We may start things very well, with a sense of great enthusiasm, and then just not have the energy or interest to finish, to follow through. And this can be very, very, very discouraging for others that we may be working with, who we take along with us in our initial enthusiasm. But then they cannot, then we kind of leave halfway and say, sorry, now I'm going, I have something else to do. Really, I don't think this is something for me, etc., etc. Trungpa Rinpoche also taught it's better not to start the spiritual journey than to stop as soon as it gets challenging. He used the analogy of being on the operating table and then deciding it's too painful to continue. So once we've been cut open and our guts are hanging out, getting up and leaving isn't a pretty picture. Now in verses 49 through 59, Shantideva discusses negative and positive pride. And he'll be saying that positive pride is something very good. It's a component of genuine enthusiasm. So verse 49. Self-confidence should be applied to wholesome actions, the overcoming of disturbing conceptions, and my ability to do this. Thinking, I alone shall do it, is the self-confidence of action. Yeah, the shorter translation says action, the afflictions, and the ability. So the point is, wholesome actions, overcome the afflictions, and my ability to do this. Thinking I myself can do it, will do it, shall do it. This is the pride, self-confidence of action. So as Pema Chodron puts it, first, Shantideva knows what actions are helpful, what aren't. We've looked at karma, right? So you know. Second, he trusts that he can work skillfully and patiently with his afflictions, with the disturbing conceptions. And third, he has confidence that he has the ability to do that. He has the ability to, connect with his basic goodness and accomplish that. So this positive pride is very energizing, like the spark of life. It inspires and encourages us. The ordinary pride, the sense of being superior, looking down on people, on others, only makes us later feel weaker. Then he talks about worldly beings, powerless, their minds disturbed. People in this world are unable to benefit themselves. Therefore, I shall do it for them. Since unlike me, these beings are incapable. So he's kind of taking on a responsibility there that he will do what he can. You know, he realizes he has a much better chance than most people. Some people don't consider it to be a problem that they are harming others, slandering, killing others, you know. They've never even remotely considered working with their mind, with their emotions. So compared to these very ordinary people, Shantideva feels encouraged that he can follow the way of the Bodhisattva. Unlike me, these beings are incapable. Yeah. So that's very good. Yeah, it's like a strong person, like a an adult going, knowing that he has to help all these children who can hardly crawl or walk yet to get out of a burning building or whatever. The adult knows they have the power to do it, and they will do that. So most beings, worldly, uninstructed worldlings, don't have the capacity to really investigate and help themselves. So Bodhisattva thinks, I will have to help them. I will have to help them benefit themselves. I shall do it for them. Even if others are doing inferior tasks, why should I sit here doing nothing? I don't do those tasks because of self-importance. It would be best for me not to have such pride. But I shall not refrain through pride. We all know how easy it is to get caught in neurotic relationships or addictions when we hang out with certain people. If we have a history with drugs or alcohol, it's lethal to go back and fraternize with the old crowd. But how do we draw the line between ourselves and unhealthy situations without looking down on others as bad or inferior? It's important to contemplate this. The longer we stick with the Bodhisattva path, she says, the more it breaks our heart to see others trapped in confusion. So instead of feeling condescending or arrogant, we see how much they're like us. We just happen to be lucky. They, for whatever reasons, haven't yet been able to abandon their addictions or get out of their destructive relationships. It's not arrogant, therefore, to keep our distance, that we're simply wise enough to know that we can't handle some situations yet. We aspire to be able to go anywhere in the future, but we accept the fact we don't have the strength right now. When they find a dying serpent, even crows behave like soaring eagles. Therefore, if I'm weak and feeble-hearted, even little faults will strike and injure me. Yeah. So if we have this kind of poverty mentality, we become, it's like our immunity goes down. We are open to all kinds of dangerous, painful situations. Even small things can, upset me a great deal, injure me, if I'm weak and feeble-hearted. If a snake is injured and dying, then even a small bird has the power to go and injure that snake even more. Whereas usually the snake would even kill that bird. So we need to get over this poverty mentality. How can those who, out of faint-heartedness, have given up trying to find liberation, how can those who, out of faint-heartedness, have given up trying to find liberation because of this? Hold on. Something wrong with this sentence. How will those who basely flee the conflict ever free themselves from their debility? Yeah. How will those who are, not trying to give up their faint-heartedness, how will they ever find liberation? Even the greatest obstacle, even the greatest obstacle will find it hard to overcome somebody with a firm mind. Those who stand their ground with proud resolve are hard to vanquish, even by the mighty. And we see this, we see some people who are really very brave. Even very powerful people cannot, make them afraid or change their minds. They are very strong in the face of power or, more stronger people. But if we're very faint-hearted and kind of cowardly, then we'll never find liberation. If we lack this self-confidence, we need very strong self-confidence. Therefore, with a steady mind, I shall overcome all falls, all my defects, all my downfalls. For if I'm defeated by a fall, my wish to vanquish the three realms will become a joke. Therefore, with a steadfast heart, I'll get the better of my weaknesses. If my failings get the upper hand, my wish to overcome the world is laughable indeed. The three worlds referred to here, three realms, which may well be there in the Tibetan, in the Sanskrit, refers, I think, to the realms of form, the desire realm in which we are, and then the more subtle realms of form and formless realms, still which need to be transcended to attain liberation and enlightenment. So if I'm, I'm going to overcome all difficulties, all weaknesses with a steady mind. Because if I'm not like that, if I'm easily defeated by a fall, then it's a joke, my saying that I can, develop, that I can be free of the jail of samsara, free of the three realms. That's a joke if I don't have, steady mind. So how should one think? Shantideva in the next verse says, I will conquer everything. Nothing at all shall conquer me. I, a child of a lion-like conqueror, should remain self-confident in this way. And Pema Chodron links this also with some of the highest sort of teaching and the wisdom teaching, when she says that this proud confidence isn't anything really tangible or solid. It grows as we lighten up and shed our self-righteousness. We needn't make such a big deal about our emotions or thoughts. Because they're essentially empty, we don't have to struggle with them. We can let them dissolve. From this point of view, what could ever prevail and bring me down? What if I have that attitude and that view, what could harm me? What could bring me down? The experience of non-conceptual emptiness brings the proud confidence that we have absolutely nothing to lose but our chains. Echo of Karl Marx there, who said, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. Not many people quote Karl Marx now, I think. Okay, let's have discussion now. We covered something today. You can unmute, you can put your hand up, or take a break, drink coffee like I am. Cold coffee now. Aha. Yeah. So, what do you think? Is Shantideva helping us with his statements? Is our enthusiasm increasing, or are we feeling more poverty-stricken?
There was enthusiasm, increasing our enthusiasm one by one.
One by one. Okay. Good. Good.
Yes, keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward. Yes, sir. Venerable. Yep. Keep moving
I'm
forward.
taking steps. It's a strong verse, wasn't it, when he talks about I've not granted fearlessness to the frightened, I've not given happiness to the weak. All I've given rise to is the agonies in the mother's womb and to suffering. And of course, when we look at many lives, that is, yeah. Even people who are not really harming others, but they're not doing anything much with their lives. They're still in their little cocoons. So what have they really done? What have we, instead of giving a lot of heartache and pain to parents and so forth? There's been total lack of aspiration. We see a lot of people just lacking aspiration, nothing to do, just bored, having no sense of purpose, no enthusiasm, no energy. It's like a drought situation with no wind. And even the leaves on the trees don't flutter in the wind. There is no wind. Whereas on a beautiful day, if you see the leaves of the people, the Bodhi tree, Ficus religiosa, if you see them fluttering, it's like a dancing in the breeze. It's very, very beautiful. Even the slightest breeze will set the Bodhi leaves dancing. Often you can't see it properly from the ground, but if you are on the first floor or second floor of a building and you look at Bodhi tree, especially, I found, neem tree possibly also, but the Bodhi leaves, very beautiful. So there's some energy, there's some wind, there's some enthusiasm. So as Shantideva says, there's, no movement without wind. Merit doesn't occur without enthusiasm.
Ball is in your court, ladies and gentlemen. I have.
Yeah.
Vijay. Yeah. That
Yes,
is a very profound statement.
What I'm really getting is that he is really making us realize that we are treating our life in a very foolish way by getting lost in the samsaric pleasures. I think the verse 3, it is saying that because of attachment to the pleasurable taste of idleness, I think we really waste so much of time in the idleness, and we feel that, wow, it's such a great thing to have that pleasure. And then verse number 15, he again says, enjoy frivolous amusements and the like. I'm reading the Stephen Batchelor's translation.
Yes.
Yeah, enjoy frivolous amusement and the like. Again, he is repeating the same thing.
Yes.
How we are lost or the wasting our time in the frivolous amusements.
Yeah.
And again, even verse 36, he is reminding us how strange it is squander. I think Pema Chodron used the word trivial pursuits. So in one way, I think Shantideva is really making us remind. And in one of the verses, he said that you fool, you don't know that you are like a buffalo. And the Lord of the death is there to waiting for you. So I think it's almost like saying that we have been constantly engaged in the non-virtuous act, frivolous act. So I think it's really making us remind, भाई क्या कर रहे हो अपने जीवन को, इसको जो है सुधारो. So that's why I think the last few verses that you have read, he's putting a lot of emphasis on the aspiration and to make that aspiration very steady so that we are on the virtuous path.
Yes, indeed. यही लग रहा है.
तो हमें अब देखना है कि जो हम काम कर रहे हैं क्या है. It is virtuous, it is non-virtuous, it is frivolous, it is attaching to the pleasurable things of the samsara. I think that's what he is really trying to remind us.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In this regard, Sunday mornings are quite dangerous because newspaper comes, there's no work to do. You say, बैठ के coffee पी के अपना अखबार पढ़ेंगे, ये करेंगे. Then one gets drowsy through lying down. Then one feels, oh, might as well take a little nap, And so, Sundays can be quite dangerous. Of course, every day might be dangerous. For a retired person, every day might be dangerous.
Challenge how to turn it virtuous.
Yeah.
But another point, I think the description of the hell that you mentioned, which was there, it's so terrifying. But I think you are also very right. I think there are things of that type which is really happening in the world today. I mean, it is not known. Recently, there was a story, this happened in Delhi. This person who cut off his girlfriend in 36 pieces and thrown in different places in the jungle. Yeah, so I think that type of thing is happening. A friend of mine, when he passed out from the university, he joined Steel Authority of India as a probationary officer. So he said that his first posting was in Durgapur, and there was the labor agitation, and this floor managers are picked up by them, and they threw him in the boiler which was at 400 centigrade. Yeah,
Mm.
just see, I think he must have evaporated. So I think the things of that type are happening in the world also.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't forget what has happened to Nirbhaya in Delhi itself. So I think, yeah, if we could really remember that we can just keep those things also in the mind so that we feel bit of a scare. Because I think when Shantideva is talking of the aspiration, he mentioned two. One is the fear of misery, which means for the future. And the second is the benefits of the aspiration.
Yeah.
He said that these are the two pillars on which we have to really cultivate the aspiration. So I think by seeing all these incidents which are really hellish in one way, can we really create some kind of fear in the mind that I should not be doing non-virtuous things, which may bring a consequences like that.
Yeah. Yep. Of course, the problem with hell, just one sec, the problem with hell, according to the teachings, is that you may be thrown into 400 degrees centigrade, but you don't die. You keep on experiencing it. And you keep on getting revived, and you keep on experiencing it again and again and again until the karma is finished. But of course, the examples from our human life are also very powerful. But hell seems to be even worse because it one stays conscious for a long time, experiencing those things. Yeah. Okay, someone else was talking, saying something.
Kabirji, no, I just want to point to verse 61. I found Chodron's commentary very useful to understand this. Third line, likewise, I shall never be swayed by the disturbance within my mind, even at times of great strife. So I felt her emphasis on emptiness was very useful. I mean, it was just yesterday.
Verse what?
61.
Not 61. Huh?
Yes, 61. Yes.
61.
61, third line.
I don't think 61.
Yes, just as men will guard their eyes.
Oh, okay. Okay, that one. Okay.
Yes. The third line there, likewise, I shall never be swayed by the disturbances within my mind. So I was wondering, what does it mean when you say I shall never be swayed by disturbance within my mind? And then you reading out Chodron's commentary was very useful there.
I haven't got to that point yet. You've jumped ahead, but maybe because we haven't got to verse 61 yet. But,
yes, but the
this
point
is
about
Naveen, this is 55.
55.
Yeah,
No.
Kabirji read 55, where he said, Pema Chodron, the experience of non-conceptual emptiness brings the proud confidence that we have absolutely nothing to lose but our chains.
Correct, Ajirji. But yeah, I mean, I know we haven't reached 61, but
55.
that, yes, correct. So that's where Chodron says that, but this is relating to also the disturbance within mind, in the sense that Kabirji was mentioning about how is it that we look at afflictions of various kinds which we encounter emotionally, and how those emotions can really dissolve back into yourself to take it seriously and remind ourselves of the wisdom of emptiness.
yes, that's right. Yeah, once we have, you see, we are very uptight, as we've mentioned many times. So that great teaching of Trungpa Rinpoche, where he gives the example of students in college sharing the same terrible food, the same circumstances, everything. One of them just accepts it, has more acceptance, is okay, take care, gets by. The other harbors this resentment all their life. They want to kind of blow up things. They want to become revolutionary. They don't forgive others, the world, for giving them that difficult experience in college. It depends a lot on the personality and the karma and stuff. So he's saying, loosen up, Emptiness is about loosening up. Suffering
Yeah.
comes from holding on, doesn't it? Craving, holding, me. Emptiness is letting go, is loosening all these knots. Even literally, the tantric teachings would say, loosening the inner knots in our various, subtle channels. So we have to loosen up, we have to, what's the word? Yeah, I have to be cool. We have to, all those phrases are useful, don't be uptight, let go. And when that happens, then we're no longer a target for all these difficulties. Right now, as he says, the smallest thing will make us unhappy, because if you provide a solid, front, anything makes it, suffer. But if it's kind of gentle, loose, then you kind of dance with energy, to put it in a very new agey way. But if we are less uptight and solid, we don't suffer so much. Apparently animals or babies, when they fall down, they are usually hurt less than adults, because adults fall down and hold on, and then you prevent a very hard surface to another hard surface, and the result is a crack. Whereas if you can fall down like a kind of a floppy teddy bear, you don't get hurt so much, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But we're so uptight, even the slightest glance or word from somebody can make us very upset. We're just like highly strung individuals because of self-grasping ignorance, right? Right, Navinji? Does that make sense?
Yes, Kabirji. Yes.
So
yeah.
you see, the more we understand that there is no inherently existing I, me, mine to hold on to, that we are, floating through space without a parachute, but there's no ground to fall on anyway, we're okay. We're constantly in space of the right kind. Of course, that's the meaning of Dakini. These beings are very spacious. Space. They are kind of space beings. Is the meaning of the word draw. Is abiding in space. Space goer. A kadro or Dakini is a space goer, because they're abiding in that spacious state of mind. They are beyond all of the garbage that we are encountering all the time in our minds and in our, our circumstances of life. We then attract the garbage that's from outside, that's similar to what we have inside. We magnetize it. So yes, so therefore it is possible to have that self-confidence on that level, or even much less level, in the sense that, there are jobs we can do, things we can do. If we plan properly and don't take on things that we can't do yet, then we don't have the disappointment of failing, because we take on things we know we can, get to grips with, and then slowly do more and more and more, So we go to a teaching, say in the old days with Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and we think, well, now it's 10 o'clock, Rinpoche is not going to come and teach now because it's too late. And then Rinpoche comes at midnight, and then you realize, oh, maybe I can stay awake till 3 or 4 a.m., it is possible. And that's what, Rinpoche is probably trying to teach people, that we don't have to get stuck in what we think we can do and what we can't do. We can do more than we think we can. But of course, to be also intelligent and practical, we shouldn't take on much more than we can, obviously. A High Lama like Rinpoche, he can inspire people to stay awake, and those who can't handle it anyway, they leave. They used to leave before Rinpoche arrived, thinking, nothing's going to happen tonight, or I can't handle this, so I'm going. And then Rinpoche would arrive when the people who couldn't handle it have left, so they're not disappointed. So we should take on what we can do, and I find that very useful teaching. Not to leave something halfway through, because I have that tendency. Start things and not finish them. It's very dangerous. It becomes a very bad habit. And you upset other people. I've received a lot of very upset WhatsApp messages, I can tell you, from co-workers for not having, in their eyes, followed through quickly enough on things that I've started. And of course, sometimes I don't even start it. So that leads to even more angry WhatsApp messages. Luckily, not so many of those right now. Anything else? We have some more time. Okay, we can dedicate. So let's dedicate for all the people we know who are sick and ill and alone and who are no purpose, feel they have no purpose in their life. May they find purpose. May they find the greatest happiness in working first on themselves and then with others and helping others get the great satisfaction of seeing that they can benefit other people. May we never be separated from authentic Dharma, especially Mahayana Dharma and Mahayana Gurus in this and future lives. May we listen, reflect, meditate, and follow their instructions in the best manner possible, and thus create boundless causes for full awakening. May all the great teachers, all the authentic teachers have long and healthy lives. May all their Dharma wishes be fulfilled. May we be sustained by simple common foods and always have the opportunity to practice dharma. That verse is from chapter 10 of Shantideva. The exact words were, may I live and be sustained by simple common foods. All my lives may I find the ideal solitude for practicing dharma. As long as space remains, as long as living beings remain, till then may I too remain to display the misery of the world. May the teachings, which are the sole medicine for suffering, the origin of every joy, be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manju Ghosh, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual master, through whose kindness I develop. So thank you very much, everyone, for helping make everybody's Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon in Australia meaningful, hopefully, for a little while. And may it benefit us throughout the day and indeed for beyond just today. Tomorrow's session also will be online only, and actually for the next few weeks probably, because from Wednesday I'll be out of Delhi. So everything will be online for a while, and we may also take a Christmas break, but just keep watching the postings for the dates of that. Okay, so yeah, thank you all very much.